Okay, there's a new court docket in the Petito Schmidt case against the Laundries, and this has to do with the letter that she wrote to Brian Byrne after reading, and this is what she's asking for. Defendant's motion for protective order. Defendants, Laundries, by and through their undersigned counsel, hereby moves for the protective order pursuant to, and it goes to Colorado rules. The plaintiff's second request for production to Christopher and Roberta Laundrie, which requests a letter written by Roberta to Brian in support. Defendants are offering the following. Okay, I'm not going to read every word, people, because a lot of it talks about case law. Unquestionably, a trial court possesses a broad discretion in overseeing discovery and protecting parties that come before it. Upon proper application for good cause shown, the trial court may grant a protective order when required. The rule is designed to protect a party or person from annoyance, embarrassment, oppression, or undue burden or expense. The burden to show good cause lies between or upon the party seeking the protective order. The court may order, among other remedies, that the discovery not be had, that certain matters not be inquired, and the scope of the discovery be limited to certain matters. Defendant seeks a protective order from the court protecting them from producing a letter Roberta wrote to her son Brian, which is requested by the plaintiff's second request for production. As the court is aware, the case arises out of undeniably sad circumstances where Brian killed plaintiff's daughter Gabby. Defendant's son took his own life. That has been truly heartbreaking experience for both families. The public who followed the case and the plaintiffs are likely curious about the letter because of some of the language used makes it seem though it's somehow related to Gabby's death. However, Roberta wrote this letter months before these events transpired. Accompanying this motion and an affidavit of Roberta explaining the letter. Roberta wrote the letter to Brian during a difficult period of their relationship. As every parent knows, your relationship with your children have at periods of closeness and periods of distance. Roberta shared a love of stories and language from letters that come from stories and phrases that they both would have recognized. Well, that was something stupid to say. So, keywords, using keywords. The letter was Roberta's attempt to connect with their son and convey the strength of the relationship. Oh, look at that. Look what she's doing to him before he planned to leave home. Boy, she's a control freak. Roberta would never have fathomed the events that would transpire between Brian and Gabby months later. At the time it was written, the letter was meant as a light-hearted reminder of stories they shared together. In hindsight, the letter may appear unfortunately worded, but there was never its intention. The problem in this letter is origin, no relation to the case, but publishing it is embarrassing, most prejudicial to Roberta. Oh, come on. If the letters produce a discovery, will undoubtedly be made available to the media at some point. The media is already aware of Roberta's letter through plaintiff's filing of the letter to counsel and the motion to compel. There's already been significant media commentary about it. Discovery is usually permitted only on matters that are relevant or that are reasonably calculated to the discovery of admissible evidence. Okay, here they talk about case law here, people. Okay. Allowing plaintiff to proceed or procure, it must be produce. They wrote it wrong. They wrote it wrong. I speak wrong, but they wrote that wrong. Produce information that is relevant with respect to her burden or proof under, and then it talks about the case law. More case law. Okay. Entitled to a protective order as to most of the material sought until such time as it may appear that the discovery of those documents is irrelevant or it may reasonably lead to evidence. The plaintiff cause of action is one of the intentional infliction of emotional distress. Oh, come on. Look what you put them through. You wouldn't even call them. You blocked their number. The elements are deliberate and reckless of mental suffering, outrageous conduct, the conduct caused by emotional distress, the distress was severe. The letter was not read to the plaintiffs or published in such a way that they could have seen it during the relevant period of time alleged in the second amended complaint. Therefore, it could not have caused them emotional distress. Oh, really? Therefore, it could not have caused them emotional distress. Records that did not result in specific acts and conduct alleged in the second amended complaint are relevant. Cause of action, intentional infliction of emotional distress. Roberta did not intend for anyone other than Brian to read the letter. She could not fathom that reckless intended what? She could not have deliberately or recklessly intended the plaintiffs to experience distress by writing it. Okay. If such information would not support plaintiff's claim, the only purpose of the letter could possibly serve is to embarrass Roberta. Oh, come on. You're kidding me. She did this to herself. This is not an appropriate use of discovery. The scope of discovery should be limited to the period of time of August 27th through September 19th, 2021. The time period between the death of Gabby and her body was found alleged in the second amended complaint, and further limited information related to the outward actions, comments of the defendants during that time period. The letter predated. The letter was predated? That the time frame makes no reference to the plaintiffs, and the plaintiffs did not see the letter such as it could be cause them distress. Are you kidding me? Of course it's going to cause them that. Defendants respectfully ask the court protective order for Roberta Laundrie from producing the letter. Such an order would not prevent the plaintiff from inquiring as to actions taken by defendants and public comments made by them. Defendants suggest they produce the letter to the court in camera review so the court can analyze the letter along with Roberta. Wow. Okay, and then she did an affidavit here. Undersigned counsel has with plaintiff's counsel about the letter, and the parties discuss their position on the letter hearing on the motion to compel. Plaintiff seeks the letter and defendants oppose. For good cause shown, defendants respectfully request that the court enter an order protecting the defendants from having to produce the letter. Wow. 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 Okay, here's Roberta's affidavit. I, Roberta, am the defendant in the above style cause, and I do swear by, or hereby swear, or affirm that I fully understand the meaning of all the terms in this affidavit. Okay? I wrote the letter requesting the plaintiff's second request for production. I wrote the letter to my son, Brian, on or about the end of May 2021. Although I do not know the exact date I wrote the letter, I do know that I wrote it and gave it to Brian before Brian and Gabby left Florida for New York, which was June 2nd, 2021. Brian and Gabby went from Florida to New York before they went out west. The purpose of the letter was to reach out to Brian while he and I were experiencing a difficult period in our relationship. Brian and I always had a very open and communicative relationship, and in the months prior to the trip of our relationship had become strained. What? Okay. Brian and I shared the love of stories and some of the language in the letter, using similar phrases to describe the depth of a mother's love. The two books that come to mind are The Runaway Bunny and Little Bear. In addition, Gabby had given Brian a book called Burn After Writing, which contains printed questions to which the reader responds by writing their answers on the page. The back of the book instructs the reader to create a secret book, then destroy it. Burn after writing. The bottom of the book says, write, burn, repeat. Brian and Gabby and I often joked about the book and the importance of being able to express yourself. If you wasn't or were embarrassed or simply did not want anyone to know your thoughts or feelings of the book offered, That's a perfect solution by telling you to burn it. That's what you're asking the court to do. Okay, whatever. This is where my message of Brian came from, and I wrote the cover of the letter for Brian Byrne after reading. In short, I was trying to connect with Brian and repair a relationship I was planning to leave, and I hoped this letter would remind him how much I loved him. There were some other phases that I used in the letter which were not found in the book. I shared with Brian as a child. See, this was when he was a child, not an adult you're talking about here. You're referencing when he was a child about this. However, these phrases were common enough in our circle of friends and family to describe who you could turn to in the most troubling times of your life. While I used the words that seem to have connected with Brian's actions and his taking Gabby's life, I never would have fathomed the events that unfolded months later between Brian and Gabby would reflect the words of my letter. The words in the letter could never have been a comment on a tragic situation as they were written so many months before. My words to Brian were meant to convey my love and support from my son through a light-hearted and quirky reminder that my love for him was not diminished and could not be shaken by miles of separation. Yeah, because you're a control freak. Although a few of the words in the letter are being quoted by others as having a connection to the case, all the words taken together and its contents of the reason of the letter was written to show there's no connection. In addition, there is some speculation that the letter was in Brian's possession in his backpack when he died, insinuating that I gave him the letter as he left my home September 13, 2021. But that's not true because the FBI had the letter in their possession and questioned members of the family about it prior to October 20, 2021. Let's see, where am I here? 2021. When me and my husband found Brian's remains. Yeah, how would you know? I repeat the letter I wrote Brian before he left Gabby for their fateful trip was nothing more than a private communication between myself and my son. I never expected anyone else would read it. In some way, I did not want anyone else to read it. I know it is not the type of letter a mother writes to her adult son, but I did not want to embarrass him. That's why I wrote Burn After Reading on the envelope. And I knew that Brian would know what this meant. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did, girl. Okay, there you have it.